And we're back. Welcome back to the No Joking Experience. My name's Nick, and tonight we got with us
Steve's in the house.
Cole Brumley.
Aiden Fluke. And Jeremy Lively.
Here we are, endeavoring again on another podcast.
Yeah.
Making world history.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're learning world history.
Yeah, man.
Or we're experiencing world history.
Living it.
Creating world history.
We are
right now.
creating world history.
I heard this old guy say, secret to happiness. He's like, if you're living in the past, you're depressed. He said, if you're living in the future, for the future, you're full of anxiety. He said, but if you just live in the present, you got peace. I was like, no doubt.
Cool.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah, I like tore up every picture I had. I was like, I ain't looking at this junk no more.
I ain't living
What
in
can
the
be
past.
unburdened by what has been.
Yeah.
Unburdened by the truth. Unburdened by reality.
Yeah. She had an interview.
How'd that go?
Formula?
Well, personally, I mean, me not being like a people watching expert and, you know, the body language stuff, like
She did fine.
I thought she did fine.
Yeah.
She didn't say anything crazy. She said she made one thing that sounded stupid where she was like, we got deadlines in time. So like that was it. It was just, you know, we've got deadlines around time. Well, of
Do you
course
know what she meant?
Yeah, she was asked about, it was part of the Green New Deal.
Which she supported years ago.
Right.
Does she not now?
Yeah, she does.
Right. That's the thing. Republicans, if they change their politics, they flip-flop. If Democrats change their politics, they evolve. So she's evolved on a lot.
So what's up with Trump and his evolution this week?
Honestly, I haven't heard it other than
I heard some people talking
what you
about
told
it.
me. Yeah, you're the one that told me.
Yeah, I heard he was interviewed, and I heard they were asking him about the abortion on the Florida ballot because they're going on that 6-week thing. Florida wants to pass the 6-week.
Florida has a 6-week.
Yeah.
The thing, they're passing to repeal it.
They're passing to repeal it, and they were asking him how he was going to vote. And he didn't say how he was going to vote, but in the interview, he hinted at 6 weeks isn't long enough. Or 6 weeks is too short of a time to put a ban on it. Which, me listening to how he said it, led me to believe that he was going to vote against it or vote for
They would
the
vote for it, yeah.
vote for the repeal it, right? But I guess today his campaign came out and said that they weren't, because if he votes to repeal, if the repeal gets passed, then it can be aborted all the way up to 9 months, or is it all the way up to birth?
Same.
Either way.
Yeah, that's...
Either way. So him hawing on that, you know, was a big deal.
It was worse when we were in the middle of it. Now it's a little bit more. Because, like, he had also just been talking about reproductive rights, I think, over the weekends and got people really mad. Because, like, why would you use that language?
And I made this comment, and you said it. It's what the talking heads were saying. It's like, why would he say anything? It's not like anybody that's for abortion is going to vote for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, so why even mess with it?
I mean, RFK's for abortion, right?
He's not for abortion.
Oh,
He's pro-choice.
That's the same thing. They all say that.
Here's the thing. This is what your commentators on the radio were saying, or on their podcast, whatever you're listening to. They were saying he's not really gaining any votes by coming out and saying what he's saying, but he is demoralizing a huge majority of the votes that he currently has.
People are coming out, like, big people are coming out and saying they're not going to vote for him, which I expect that to change. I think they're just trying to get him to change.
who is big people saying they're not going to vote
Like,
for
have
him?
you heard of the Susan B. Anthony? They're like one of the biggest pro-life groups, and like the president just came out and said she wasn't supporting. Yeah, exactly. I think
That makes...
exactly.
I mean,
So
who's she going to vote for?
out? Exactly.
Yeah, who are you going to vote for?
Well, that's the thing.
I don't expect it to continue.
But the problem with that scenario is, I mean, everybody gets him hauled into that position because you're like, now I'm stuck. You're literally stuck having to choose the worst or the better of the two evils.
Yeah.
Because you have no choice in the matter. You have to pick one or the other or not vote at all. And if you don't vote at all, then the opponent is definitely going to win.
Right.
But when the one that you're rooting for and that you've been pulling for the last 12 years now he's changing his tactics on things and trying to not be as hard-nosed on abortion. Is like now he's kind of fleeing from his base to reach out to these other people that are him-hawing. Why would you risk what you already have reaching for these people that if the wind blows a different way, they change their mind?
Which it is funny because like the left doesn't have it. Like Kamala can come out, she can say banning fracking is a terrible idea, and she's not going to lose any voters over that.
Right.
That's why I going back to Trump talking, like Kamala didn't do a single interview for 40 days, right? I don't know that she lost a single voter. She probably gained voters.
Right.
We know she did gain voters in that time.
Mm-hmm.
She gained voters in that time. Nobody that wanted to vote for her that I've heard speak about anything is like even people that will say, yeah, she probably should do some interviews, but it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
And then here you got Trump out. He was on Sean Ryan's podcast.
Yeah,
He's
I
on
listened to
Theo
some of that.
Vaughn's podcast. Just a random comedian, which I don't even know, any way he leans. If anything, he probably leans left.
Yeah.
He's everywhere.
He's funny though.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great. He's goofy. But he's everywhere, and he's constantly talking. He's constantly putting stuff out there. You're just giving them ammunition, right? Like who else is he convincing?
Right.
Who is he winning over in this?
He could take a lesson from Kamala.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like we've been, and I've been critical of Kamala, saying you can't, it's used as a tool to say, she's not smart enough to do it, and I still believe that, but it doesn't seem to be hurting her. And
Right.
here Trump is out everywhere doing everything he can, every show he can. Anyone that he's going on CNN, he's going on, it's not like he's just going to conservative media people that are going to pump him up. He's going and engaging with people. He went to the Black Journalist Convention, right? Like the lady came right out the gates, swinging for his head.
Yeah.
And even in the Black Journalist thing, what did he gain there? He made which I thought was funny, but if anything, he made more enemies than friends there.
Yeah.
Because of the whole is she
Indian?
black or Indian, right? He didn't have to say any of that. All he had to say was, it doesn't matter what I think. Let's go back and replay Biden's words. Biden said she's a DEI hire. Biden said that. He said he was picking a woman of color. So you decide. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So man,
The
it's
more
hard.
the more I hear of Trump
the political
talk,
game is so,
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Oh, he's no great speaker.
Well,
it's not-
even today, like he talked about Kamala, that interview. She had her first interview. He's like, it wasn't live. He's like, and she had to take a man with her because she's too stupid. And I'm like,
I've heard that a bunch though. Like, I don't know. I think
yeah,
that
I know. Like
everybody's-
I've heard her call
And
her.
I feel that way too, but what does it gain?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I agree.
that's the thing is this is a critical time, right? What do you gain by saying those things?
It's like he's held it together for like 2 years. Because like that was the thing in the primaries when he was running against DeSantis. I couldn't believe how controlled he was being, like during that time, and like he wasn't giving them anything. There's no new stuff coming out about him to go after him, and it's like since Kamala's become the person, like it's more important than ever that he stays on. And it does seem like
How much of that was the media too, though, just not saying everything or reporting everything that he's saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they didn't want somebody
other
other than him. They might have thought that he was their best chance of beating.
That's a theory too behind. I don't know if you heard that, but I heard that from Chris Plant. That's a theory of why that shooter was registered as a Republican, because in Pennsylvania, that they were asking Democrats to
crossover
to register as Republicans and vote for who they thought was the most easy to beat.
Yeah,
And they're saying that's a possible, because they're still like, we're not sure which way this kid leaned. I mean, he was registered Republican, but he donated to the far left. Chris Plant's like, yeah, but he shot the Republican. So I think we can safely assume by now he leaned a little more left. He's like, because when he picked up a rifle and he shot the head of the Trump, I think we can say Democrat.
Yeah,
So I thought that was pretty funny.
I'm looking forward to the debate, and I'm dreading it at the same time. I think that the potential is there for him to really do some good things if he needs to get off his high horse and pay attention to what everybody else is telling him. And he needs to just stay on policy and not get off on all the dumb rabbit trails that make him look like an idiot.
Right.
To me, I'm not really dreading the debate just because, like, the way I've just decided I'm going to view it as, right, when Biden was in the race, like, I felt like Trump's probably going to win. Like, right now, I'm just kind of viewing it as if things stay as they are, Kamala's probably going to win. And that's just kind of where I'm at. So, like, I think in my estimation, odds can only get better. So, like, the debate, if it doesn't go well, I'm not saying I'm expecting him to do good.
Yeah, but what do we consider a win? Like someone who can lie the best
Someone
and
who
keep it
becomes
together?
Sworn in president January 20th.
That's honest.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Win. I'm saying win election. I think she's going to win the election. That's where I'm coming at it.
Oh, you think she's going to be president?
I mean, that's just how I've decided to think about it.
I got you.
And so the debate for me is like, right now I feel like
but
he's
not that
down.
she's going to win the
Yeah,
debate.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
win the
I
election.
feel like she's going to. That's just kind of how I. And so if things are just kind of whatever at the debate, then I'm still probably going to think if he does good, if we see some change, then and I think we probably will. I think things are.
She'd
probably
have to
gonna,
falter pretty good.
Yeah, I think things are probably going to look up for Trump.
Yeah.
We'll see. I saw RFK today said he's a changed man.
Oh, that's good.
Trump is or he is?
Man.
He said like he's thinking more about legacy, and he's told him all about the stuff that he did wrong in the first term and stuff he's going to do better the second time.
He called him like within hours of the shooting. He's like, he didn't
Yeah.
mention it at all.
Yeah.
And said he was talking about, well, the whole reason he has given RFK any platform is health related stuff. And he's talking about, leaving things better for his grandchildren and stuff. So yeah, he's looking more legacy than just the petty stuff. But
Man, not to take us way off topic, but you talked about health. Brumley, you pointed out those buffalo chips.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sam's Club has chicken potato chips or chicken chips.
chicken chips.
Chicken chips. It's a protein chip,
Okay.
Made out of chicken breast.
and it's got 6 carbs for 22 of them bad boys. And
You could eat the entire bag and only consume 36 carbs. And they're buffalo chicken. They're super good.
And then also, I had to make a cauliflower chicken salad. You ever bought a head of cauliflower before?
I think so.
I never have. Have you?
Yeah.
You bought like with the green stuff around it?
Yeah.
Dude, if I was walking in the nature and I saw that, I'd be like, that's Mother Nature's pimple. Like, it's just this white, nasty, bulbous thing with green thing around it. I'm like, somebody needs to pop that. Definitely ain't eating that. I'd have been I've been boiling my shoes.
Yeah, I will say cauliflower is one of those things. It's like the little mini corns at the Chinese buffet. Those things, I will not eat those things.
Yeah.
That's just there's something weird about those. Those and cauliflower is kind of the same way. It just, if there's broccoli and cauliflower in the same dish that I get to pick which one I get, I pick broccoli.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Although
for sure.
Michelle has used cauliflower, like real diced up fine cauliflower, as a replacement for, I think it was rice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and that was pretty good.
They have what they call cauliflower rice.
Okay.
I mean, it's like a steamable type thing.
Disgusting.
Why?
It's not that bad.
Well, you don't do it in the microwave, right? You guys do it probably right.
Yeah. I mean, Kim does it on the stove.
Yeah, that probably makes a big difference. When you microwave it, it smells like sewage. Like when you open that bag, it's
But
so
like
nasty.
my favorite too is between the two, especially is broccoli.
Yeah.
Dude, but Blaze Pizza has a cauliflower crust, and that thing's legit.
It's super good.
I don't know what I'm doing, what they're doing.
It's $5 more though.
It is worth it.
$5 more for
Yeah. So I mean, the regular pizza, the last I knew was like $9. So if you want the cauliflower crust, it's $14 for the exact same thing. You just get a healthier crust or whatever.
Didn't mean to drag us out of all
If you're
the
at Blaze,
good
you're kind of
news.
giving up on that, right? I mean, it's like you're going for pizza.
Yeah, but the cauliflower crust isn't bad, and if it keeps the carb count and you get to enjoy what you're eating and not feel guilty about it,
Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
What do you put on a pizza at Blaze that's good for you?
What are you talking about?
Meat.
Mushrooms, onions,
green peppers, artichokes, pepperoni,
all
bacon,
the meat's low carb.
sausage. Banana peppers.
There you go.
We thought politics was
No
a
shoeholes in
divisive
my
topic.
dream, bro. I love.
Like, I'm simple, man. Like super simple. To those chips you were talking about, like I do none of that stuff. Like if I'm trying to eat healthy, I eat rice and boiled eggs and chicken and broccoli. Like, and I don't have a problem with it. I don't have to like fill in with all the other stuff. I don't know. It's just
You eat it every
when
day?
I really have no problem. Like we'll buy Gordon's has a really good deal on packs of chicken breasts. We have a griddle grill. Don't even hardly marinate them anymore. Just do a little bit of dry rub seasoning on them. Put some oil, some olive oil on the griddle. Cook like the whole pack of Gordon's. It's in the fridge. And every day I have zero problem throwing rice and 2 chicken breasts in my lunch. That's like no problem. And then at night we usually have like some kind of meat. And then in the mornings I'm either eating Greek yogurt with nuts or blueberries or a banana, or I'm eating, like this morning I had 6 eggs.
You don't ever get tired of eggs?
No, dude, I could eat like a dozen eggs every day.
I do. Because I do go on long stretches of eating the same thing,
Yeah.
and then it does get to the point where like I'll kick a chicken if I see one. Like, you better not lay one more egg.
I don't know. Like I'll cook them different ways. Like some days I'll have boiled eggs.
Yeah.
Some days I'll fry
I do
'em.
lots of omelets.
Yeah.
You know, that way I'm getting my meat, my cheese, everything. But just too much of the same thing, it does get to me.
I'm not.
Or like I'm eating a donut today, I don't care.
I'm not big on eggs, man. I like scrambled eggs. I like fried eggs when we're at a campsite. You know,
I do like boiled eggs too.
I like deviled eggs.
I like
Those are
eggs
legit.
and bacon on a bagel, and that's good.
Or pancake.
I'm not a big breakfast eater though either. I could go without. I'd drink a cup of coffee and be good until noon, 1 o'clock.
Really?
If I'm eating my omelet, it's typically 12 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because me too, I'll get up, I'll drink half a pot of coffee, and I won't eat anything until 12, 1 o'clock.
I mean, I'm not waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning either.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, that's me getting up at
You're
9.
getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It might be different, but you know.
yeah.
Dude, I'm hungry right off the rip. Like I wake up hungry.
Because you only ate chicken and rice.
Generally, a cup of coffee for meal will hold me over for a good little while. But I put creamer in it, so it's not just plain coffee. So it's got a little thickener in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, part of that is just I think that's how we were raised too. Like mom always had breakfast. Like we never went without breakfast. It wasn't. And then it was more like oatmeal and stuff, or she'd do some like egg sandwiches a lot, but we never went without breakfast. So that's kind of a something that I've grown up doing. So I always ate first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I told my wife, it probably in the last year, maybe year and a half, our milk actually started spoiling. Like it went from our kids ate cereal every single day
Oh yeah.
to the point to like nobody hardly eats cereal anymore. And I was like, why is this milk going bad? Like we used to have to buy 2 gallons at a time.
Oh yeah.
Now
drink 2
we
gallons.
really only need a half gallon.
Well, it took the place of cereal.
I think they just don't eat.
I
They just don't eat breakfast.
When I'm not
I eat cereal.
when I'm not
nice.
doing a low carb, there's several nights where I'll come home from work and I'll eat a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
If I ever ate cereal, it was always for a snack, like later in the day or something.
Yes.
Wanting something sweet.
Cinnamon
Sometimes
Toast
I do.
Crunch.
Sometimes I really I love cereal, and then I'm like, I'm done with this stuff.
Yeah. Then I'm like, what happened? They're like, well, you always bought the cheap stuff. What are you talking about? Just because it's in a bag don't mean it's cheap. Like,
Right, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch can be bought in a bag.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, Dad,
I don't like that off-brand cinnamon toast.
Yeah, bougie.
Some-
Of all the off,
bougie,
I hate most
bougie.
off-brand stuff. Like for whatever reason, there've been a few off-brand cinnamon toast crunches specifically that I have liked. So we're just.
But
kinda
I'm like,
different.
when did you
But-
ever get the brand stuff? Like I've been buying groceries. It's like I was sneaking over someone's house and getting the good stuff. I was like, that's all I ever buy. But they swear up and down like we've had.
We
like,
have had the boxes of real cinnamon toast crunch, not like the crunchy cinnamon sticks.
I know my kids, especially when it comes to Doritos.
Yeah, well, the Doritos are just nobody can. They try and it's like chocolate.
But it's hard for me when I see the great value bag for $2.50 and
Yeah.
then the regular Doritos is
typical
$6. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Dude, I was raised different. That cheap stuff is great to me.
no.
no.
All these
Dirt.
brands are actually pretty good. Like
Doritos?
I don't know about Doritos. I really don't eat much chips, but like we do if we do chips, it's usually like Fritos with chili or something,
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
chicken chili. We do that.
That
kinda
season's
regularly.
coming.
And
I do love
Aldi's brand knockoff Fritos. I can't remember what they're called, but they're
corn chips.
they're
Yeah.
legit. They're really good.
Off-brand Cool Ranch is actually okay.
Like the
Off-
Walmart kind.
Yeah, like they're fine, but off-brand not like nobody can ever
So
hit
we'll
it.
just switch to Cool Ranch then.
No,
I don't.
Cool Ranch itself isn't that good.
Yeah,
It's
I don't,
fine.
I don't really like Cool
Even
Ranch.
even when I'm not dieting, I try not to do the chips. I mean, unless we're having taco salad, I'll have the chips.
Yeah.
But
It's like seasoned there.
Like my deal is like I'm not a big snacker, but I will eat like a full blown meal like right before bed. Like if I'm real hungry,
right.
I'm not grabbing a handful of chips, which would probably be better. I'm like warming up the meatloaf.
Well, I don't like eating right before I go to sleep. Like I'll do it but that's when I would rather. If I come home after work, I mean, I'd rather probably eat cereal than. Before bed.
Like it's not right before. It's like within an hour or two before bed.
Yeah.
But still, that's not good.
Right, exactly, because it
Why?
turns directly to fat.
No.
You're not burning it off.
I heard you burned a lot of calories while you were sleeping.
Who said that?
Look it up.
I'll look it up.
Do
I
you
know you
burn
grow while
calories
you're
when you're
sleeping,
sleeping?
that's-
Why do they tell you to weigh yourself in the morning?
Because
Do
you
they?
haven't. Because you're supposed to have not eaten anything.
Because
you
you
burn
burned all
calories
your
when
calories
you're
while you're sleeping.
If you stopped eating at like 5,
No, dude.
That doesn't. Your body never stops burning calories. Even while sleeping, you burn calories.
Like,
Your heart is.
Those
what's the
snoozing
percentage
doesn't-
of calories burned by your brain function too? It's like a huge portion.
sorry.
I mean, I think it's like 60+%.
It
No,
burns.
maybe not that high.
It burn. I don't really.
So
see
reading a
that.
book will make you burn some more because you're thinking.
Your brain
Yeah.
burns calories to perform
Dude,
basic
I ought to be
functions.
thin as
Like
a
your-
rail.
They're
It
throwing a
burns.
lot of scientific terms in there, like a bit more
Yeah,
than you'd think.
it burns a bit more if you think really hard, but it's not enough to make you. It's not enough to make you lose weight.
right now.
Yeah, I
There's
get-
like all these little things like you hear people drink cold water, it burns more calories. Like it's such a minuscule amount. It doesn't
Yeah.
Dude,
matter. But
I've been on a little bit of a running kick.
okay.
I try to run 2 miles at a time.
Mm-hmm.
The last time, it said I burned like just over 350 calories, and I'm dying.
Yeah.
So if I can just burn calories by sleeping, forget running. Because like it's like I think there should be an extra zero onto that 300. Like I think I burned 3,000. I'm dying. I can't hardly move. It's like it just seems so unfair. It's like you can eat a bag of Doritos.
All of that has to be estimated, right? Though, because there's no way that they actually can know how many calories you've actually burned.
Right. It's all.
So, like, if you're out and you're like sweating to death,
Yeah.
that would have to be different than somebody that's chilling in the gym.
All right,
Running on a treadmill.
Listen,
Cole's
you
got-
burn about 50 calories per hour while you sleep, which is approximately 400 calories a night.
That's retarded.
So yeah, sleep rather than run. I'm gonna take a nap and lose some weight.
Yeah, dude. Dude, we create a program with stickers and everything, dude. We'd be millionaires.
You can do this by sleeping at about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, limiting light exposure before bed, so that's no devices, and exercising regularly.
Dude, that's where it's at. Because if you're exercising regularly, your body's
Constantly burning.
yeah.
Yeah. It's so. There's so many things that play into it too. It's like your body it always adapts. So if you're constantly providing it food, it doesn't. It's weird. It's
Which
not.
I
It's
am.
not like constantly providing it healthy food.
Oh,
And you're constantly requiring a certain, like if you have an exercise program going on, it's not going to store fat because it's like I'm getting enough to build what I need to build, so I don't need to store extra fat, But then like your body adapts. So if you cut back the exercise and all of a sudden it sees that you're getting more, it starts building up a reserve.
mm-hmm.
And then it's also like if you're not giving it enough, if you're in a deficit, you can actually start to store things because your body's like, I need to hoard.
Right. That's why they say that yo-yo dieting is so bad. Like when you're constantly up and down on a diet, it's like your body starts freaking out. Like
Yeah.
I don't know when's the next time I'm going to get food, so I'm going to store this up for you.
What do you mean by yo-yo dieting?
Like just up and down all the time with your diet, like not staying consistent.
They're
Or-
doing like a severe diet.
Yeah.
No, like constantly where you're like 1 week you'll be really cut back, and the next week you're like, I gave up on my diet, so I'm going to eat a bag of potato chips a day. And then the next week you're like, I'm going to be good, so I'm like basically fasting. And then the next week I gave up on that kind of thing.
So if you stay consistent with it, then your body gets used to it, and you stop losing weight. And if you go yo-yo with it, then your body hoards it, and you don't lose weight.
Maybe we're just
So what do
not
you do?
supposed to lose weight.
You throw a small spike into it. You don't get off your diet. You just throw a small spike into it.
Oh, okay.
Like the idea of dieting is harmful, I think. The concept of dieting, like if you got a wedding or something you're trying to get ready for, okay, I understand you're going to go on some kind of crash diet, but you have to make, for anything to make sense long term, you just have to make
Healthy choices.
Yeah, make a lifestyle change. Not think of it as a diet. Like, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Right.
Like, we'll talk about it later. Like, one of the books I really liked was it's a book called Atomic Habits, and it talked about changing your identity. One of the ways we build habits is like the way you perceive yourself. We talked about this guy, like, it's been a while since I read it, but I think he had, like, somebody told him he had nice hands. Like, he was shopping for a watch or something, and the salesman was like, man, you have really nice hands, like really manicured, like you could be a model for these watches. And so
That's a good salesman.
Yeah. But he had been a really bad nail biter. Right? So he's like, but that gave him he was aware of that now. So he's like, man, if I have nice hands, I don't want to, like, my nails look bad. Mm-hmm. So and he quit biting his nails. Like, the way you perceive yourself, like, I'm not a fat person on a diet, right? Who's going to lose 30 pounds and then go right back to where I was. Like, I have to change the way I think about myself. I'm a person who makes healthy choices long term.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's where I need to get to.
Yeah.
Well, it's like,
hard to do.
That's that
right?
whole deal behind that Gnome, the dieting app. Change the way you think about food. Like it's like it gives you a plan, but then it's like read these quotes every day. It's like more than just stop.
It's hard too, right? I mean,
Super
there's so many
hard.
things play into it. Your decision making at midnight when you haven't eaten and you get home and the
Starving,
bowl
man.
of cereal sounds great.
Right.
And that's when I when I eat something goofy. That's usually when it is. Like, I got home late, was off schedule. I'm hungry. No, I shouldn't be right before bed. But then I was like, I'll eat a bowl of cereal. Mm-hmm. That turns into like half a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yes,
Dude,
exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're like, I might have an
Several
Oreo.
Like, look how much milk I got left.
A couple
Exactly.
weeks.
That's exactly
Like, I
it.
don't want to waste.
I'm like
this milk.
extremely spoiled through my life. Like, my wife has been like a dessert cooker. Like, when we first got married, we do a lot of family events and stuff. So they'd be like, oh, we want Michelle to bring something. We don't want to do it hard for her, right? So they bring desserts. And then you kind of get stuck in that. So she's made desserts.
Dude, that's so funny. That's true.
We had excess desserts around my house all the time. When we first got married, like, her family would have dessert with dinner. My family never did. Like, we had desserts at birthday parties.
Right.
Other than that,
Right.
we didn't have dessert with dinner.
Yep.
So I
That's
ate
right.
till I'm like stuffed.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I've always eaten at dinner. Like, eat till I'm full, and then she'd come out with like a 9x13 pan of brownies for the two of us. Like, what? So you get stuck in the eating desserts. But so I was saying all that to say, like, I homemade desserts. She makes awesome desserts, and a lot of them. So avoiding that has been hard for me. But there's like not very many store-bought things that desserts, candy type stuff that I just don't eat that much. But I forgot what it was. We were at a family thing, and somebody brought bags of those little donuts, the little powdered sugar ones, and the brown sugar, or is it brown sugar or whatever?
They have both. They have a brown sugar and a white
and then
sugar.
the chocolate covered ones, dude. I can eat a whole bag of those chocolate covered ones. I probably ate like 15 of them. I felt so sick.
kids
It's
love
the
them.
baked goods that get me, dude. I could do without candy. Like, candy.
Yeah.
Candy
Once
doesn't
you-
draw
once
me.
you- Once
know.
you eat one or two, then you're like, I'm a fat loser now. Might as well eat all of them.
Desserts for us is a special occasion. We don't hardly ever have them
I think we need one of those lifestyle changes.
on like birthdays or something like that. But my wife, I mean, she's got a few of them pinpointed down to where it's like she makes my mom's banana pudding, which my mom and my wife both make awesome banana pudding. But then my wife has gotten a recipe for a banana pudding cheesecake that's super good.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It's super good. And then she also does bread pudding. And she'll make that for me for my birthday. Like, that's my birthday cake because I love that stuff.
Mine's
The bread
Jello
pudding.
cake.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. It's like the famous Dave's recipe
Yep,
one.
yep.
Yeah,
It's
that's
got,
good.
she does the caramel praline and the pecans on it. And it's like,
Dude,
man,
my
so
kids,
good.
my kids didn't believe me because they're always like, what? We just get done eating and they're like, what's for snack or what's for dessert? I'm like, we never had this growing up ever, and they always think I'm lying, or maybe not lying, but not telling. Whatever, I don't know what they're thinking. I'm like, I'm serious. They're like, let's call Uncle Mike, and they called Uncle Mike. They're like, Uncle Mike. They're like, did you guys ever have dessert? He was like, what's dessert? And they just started laughing. It's like we just didn't. Like, it was. If we had cake, it was someone's birthday.
Right.
If we had any kind of dessert, it was going to be at a get together.
Yeah.
You can forget
I
about a
guess-
snack.
There's probably times where, like, she'll see something different or like a reel or something that something looks super good, and I'll see it. I'll be like, I want to try that.
Yeah.
You know, and she'll do it. You know, but other than that, we try not to go crazy with sweets and junk. You know.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, most of our desserts, they go bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just like, I guess nobody really has a really big sweet tooth anymore. It's like Sister Paige, she made a strawberry cheesecake thing, and I had a good sized chunk of it, dude. It was awesome. The kids brought it home. Nobody touched it, but it was good.
I love cheesecake.
I know you do. Mine's Jello cake. For my birthday, I want Jello cake.
I like that strawberry Jello cake.
I like Jello
It's like really
cake too.
fluffy.
Yeah, I like that whipped cream on top with the fruit.
Actual.
I'm saying that for she knows who I'm talking about. If it ain't got the fruit, don't bring it out to the table, especially on my birthday.
But I've been doing the low carb diet probably going on 2 months. I've lost almost or right at 10 pounds. My wife's done it for several years now. At birthday time or at like a special occasion, she'll do whatever everybody else is doing, you know, but for the most part, she stays consistent with it. So I've been doing it, and it does make you feel, it makes me feel better knowing I'm doing something and it's cleared up my skin. I got eczema, and it's cleared up my skin really, really well. And I haven't had heartburn, and which is amazing because I've had heartburn my whole life. Like every day I would get heartburn. So switching to a low carb for whatever it is, I guess it's all the sugars.
Well, and you remove a lot of processed foods.
Right.
When you
Well, yeah and no, because like,
buffalo chips.
well, no, not that, but like
That's ultra processed.
if we make the kids a sandwich, you know, if we got a bunch of lunch meat because we're making school lunches or whatever, you know, I'll still eat the lunch meat, but not the bread.
Yeah,
So, and all that's processed.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you get away from all of that.
Well, yeah. I mean, you'd have to go to a butcher, like, because right, they got processed and they got ultra processed. Like, the further away it is from the original, the more processed it is. You know, to where like you get ham cut in slices directly off of a ham hock or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it is tough.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever bought like the quarter cow or half cow? Or
I
anything like
haven't.
that?
No, I would like to look
Yeah.
into it. I just never.
We've talked about it several times. I mean, it's kind of expensive, but
Surely, if you like priced it out, how much you actually spent over however long that quarter or half cow would last you, you would probably spend that amount on meat.
I think the quality's way better too.
Yeah. What's
is
that?
one
Good
thing
Ranchers that Daily Wire's always talking
Good
about?
Ranchers, there's
Butcher
Butcher
Box,
Box.
yeah.
There's,
Yeah.
I mean, what's the one? There's one on
Oklahoma.
Tucker Carlson's show too. Something farm starts with an M. Anyways,
Mork, what's that one?
Moink.
Moink, yeah, you'll say oink. I want more moink.
Yeah, I can't remember where that's from.
I know I hate the commercial. It sticks in your mind, but it sounds dumb as all get out.
That is one thing. Like, if Trump does win, I really do hope he involves RFK and gives him a significant position where he can try to affect change in our food system, yeah, agriculture system, the way things are processed, the things that are allowed.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not an expert on it. Like, I understand a farmer makes more money if he can, you know, it's agriculture's hugely government subsidized, so the government gives them seed, tells them what to plant. You know, every year they modify the genetics of the corn to prevent, you know, whatever disease or whatever crop failure has, you know, and there's a lot of stuff in that you can, they say they're messing with stuff, but at least try to get back to somewhat healthy,
organic,
healthy habits.
kinda.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a really cool, I don't know who all's podcasts they've been on. I think they've been on a bunch. I know my wife mentioned them being on something she listened to. I've heard a couple different things, but there's these, it's a brother and sister named Casey and Callie Means, I think is what it is. I might have mentioned this before, but
I think so.
it was crazy listening to them like put stats to how bad the health of our children has become. How many of them are obese? Like that doesn't even make sense to me. That how can that many children be obese? Like,
Could they fat?
yeah. But it's crazy to think that,
Our food's worse and we're less active.
right, our food's worse, we're less active, and then the motivation for change is not there because one of the greatest money makers for the pharmaceutical industry, the best thing that can happen for the pharmaceutical industry is a sick kid.
Right. And now I think you said that they're trying to make obesity a mental illness.
Yeah, not a mental. It's a genetic thing.
A genetic
so
thing.
So obesity is classified as a genetic thing, so that makes it qualify for Medicare, like any treatments of it, you know, which would be like Ozempic, those kind of things.
Yeah. I'm not for negativity at all. Like, if I'm making fun of people, like, it's to their face. We're joking around. We're having fun. Like, I'm not mean-spirited. But, like, they're trying to not only normalize it, but make it sound glamorous to be way overweight.
Yeah.
Like, the beauty contest winners now are fat. Like, give me a break.
Positivity.
You're
You
not
know?
a Lizzo fan?
I don't know. I don't know who that is, but probably not. Lizzo the Big O?
No, there is really a singer named Lizzo, and she's big, and she was at the center of a lot of that because she was talking about how it's
People were
beautiful
nasty,
and
yeah.
whatever.
The
yeah.
whole reason why I started losing weight is because I watched this guy talking. He was real arrogant. I didn't really like him, but he was like being big. Like, he was talking to this girl, and he was like, that is the one thing we can absolutely control. He's like, because you have absolute control over what you put in your mouth.
Right.
He's like, there's no excuses. And she's like, well, what about men? He's like, fat men are disgusting too. He's like, we got no excuse. He's like, matter of fact, we need to be better about it because a woman, they got looks, they got a lot going on for them. A man's got to bring more to the table than just that. He just does, you know. And he was like, so if you're overweight, he's like, just because you don't want to stop controlling what you keep shoving in your mouth, you have a problem, and that's the one thing you can fix. So I'm like watching this reel, eating my Doritos. I'm like, man, that's right. That's right. You know, like, it's like the next day I'm like, I'm losing it.
When I first started Hexagon, I worked with a guy, George, and he at one time was a really big guy. And, you know, he went through some life changes and started losing weight, you know, exercising, eating healthy, you know, really watching everything he did. And when I started there, that's when we started our first low-carb diet, when we did it, you know, several years back. And he was talking to me about it. He said the way he's always thought about it is like, because he loves food. He said, you know, that's how he got so big. He said, but really when I would just stop and think about it, he said, nothing tastes as good as feeling thin. When you feel like you're healthy, when you feel like you can accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, nothing tastes as good as feeling thin.
Right. Dude, it happened this morning, right? Like, I still got a long way to go. I still got a goal in mind. I'm down like almost 30 pounds. And just my wife, like, she just ran her hand like down my shirt, you know, and it didn't do the bump. You know, and she's like, that's nice. I'm like, I'm telling you. After she walked away, I breathed. You know,
Exhale.
well, like it is nice to look sideways and not see this ginormous gut. And it does. It feels great.
Yeah.
And the one thing with low carb is you should never feel bloated. Like you're never eating until which if you have the control, you can probably eat whatever you want as long as you moderate it and not overeat. You'll never feel bloated. Mm-hmm. But I do like to eat. And so like with the low carb, you kind of got a little bit more leniency to overeat and it's still not weigh you down.
Dude, was it yesterday I made those steaks?
Yes.
I made some Walmart. I got to Walmart and they had just put out some chuck eye steaks that were on sale. I bought several of the packages and I grilled them on the in-house griddle. Cranked it all the way up, put some oil on it, let it get hot before I put them on there, seasoned them up with some Kinder seasoning, and then cooked them for I think 8 minutes on each side, and then I just ate it with some mixed greens, turnip greens, mustard greens, and so that was all I ate. But man, that was so good. So good.
All low carb.
Yeah.
Super good. Dude, I didn't mean to hijack the whole conversation to food. I just wanted to say my cauliflower joke.
Is that how we ended up here?
Yeah. I mean, hold that one.
Long detour. But it is true. Like, of all the things that you can change that affect your life, I mean, sleep would probably be one of the top ones, right? If you're not good sleep habits, and I have lots of high goals about how I'm going to not, you mentioned earlier, not viewing blue light, just no screens, time before bed, and then whatever, realize it gets to be 11:30, 12 o'clock, and you're like, I should have put my phone on, silent mode a long time ago. And, whatever. So sleep's one of the top ones, but of the things that you really can control, of trying to rearrange your schedule, trying to be more aware of getting good sleep, and then just not eating dumb. Right. It's not like you have to be rice and chicken all the time. There's as long as you're careful about what you eat and just make the improvements, you feel so much better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I will say, it is proven. They put stuff you love McDonald's, whatever you love. It's because they put stuff in there to make it more addictive. Mm-hmm. It's it's not an accident. You love certain foods, it's so that don't help. I was telling Nick, Jordan Peterson's his deal is not to have it in the house.
Oh yeah.
That's because he's on a mostly meat kick.
He's all carnivore. Last I heard, he's he's ribeye morning, noon, and night. And all he eats meat and salt and water. Right.
But I mean, that's his deal. It's he's because they make stuff taste so delicious, he's I just can't have it in my house. And he's and that's how I avoid it. There's 6 of us in my house. Most of them look pretty good. I won't say who doesn't. Just kidding. But everybody has their favorite snack. And so they would consider me Hitler if I was no sugar. Just But I do find myself I will be eating something sweet just because it's there.
Yep.
It's I'm kind of hungry. I haven't had something sweet in a long time. Oh, look at that muffin. 700 calories, 88 carbs. It's worth it. It's worth it.
I can run that off.
Yeah.
I'll be back in a couple hours.
Yeah, that's an 8-mile run right there. That's an 8-mile run. Someone call an ambulance.
But it can't go the other way, too. To be honest, the people I see at the gym that, if you just look at their body, I would be jealous. Hey, I need to look like that. But if you look at their face, there's very few of them that really seem happy.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's it's not, it doesn't fix all of life problems.
Right.
If you are in perfect shape and
life's a
single
mess.
digit body fat and 18-inch biceps, it doesn't fix everything, but you feel better. And when I feel better, I treat myself and others better.
Look good, feel good. That's our model.
I don't know if I'm ever going to reach that, but
that's my problem. I got confidence of a king. That's why I gotta be reading them certain things that get me motivated and thinking in a different way.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, I'd be some fat jerk.
I was talking to your dad yesterday, and I told him that, Lord willing, if everything works out, I'm going to have a lot of family here for Thanksgiving, and I'd mentioned that in the podcast, like I want, have family around, whatever. So if everything works out, my brother and his family are going to be here for Thanksgiving, and my sister and her family will be here for Thanksgiving. So it'll be all of us, and I got those 2 pieces of wood from your dad. I want to make that river table. And I was telling him, I said, I'm really going to have to start working on that because everybody's going to be here for Thanksgiving, and I want to have a nice dining room table for everybody to eat off of or whatever. And that's what he said. He said, motivation, it's always good to have something that will motivate you. You have a deadline. You got to have something that will motivate you. Even though we've all got a ton of things to do, sometimes it's hard to self-motivate.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by how much I have to do to where nothing gets done. I don't know where to start. I'll start tomorrow. I got to work on this. I'll hit that up tomorrow. But tomorrow comes, and then it's always tomorrow again. But when there's a deadline, something that'll motivate you, And I remember, was it last Thanksgiving or what? Last Christmas or whatever, when your dad wanted to really finish his base, get it all done, working.
I think.
Was that the year before last?
Trying to remember what the target was. I can't remember if it was Johnny and Michaela's wedding because they were wanting to have it at their house, or if it was Christmas.
I thought everybody was coming for a holiday.
Okay.
But redid that whole basement and looks phenomenal.
Jim Gaffigan said, "You ever had so much to do you just took a nap?"
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Or his
Way too many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, hopefully we'll get going on that and then finishing up. I've been working on a second bathroom in our house for a year.
I've been talking about it for over a year.
So hopefully I can get that going too.
At least you started.
I was trying to count up everybody. If everybody was to come, we could have close to 20 people in the house, and one bathroom on Thanksgiving Day might not cut it.
And if you don't, just order a porta potty, man.
No doubt. Yeah, I know how to get one of those.
Hope for
A mild
day.
Yeah. Yeah, which here in November, Thanksgiving can go either way.
Oh, yeah, we could have a ton of snow, or it could be nice.
Hey, it ain't started yet. I did look it up. Detroit Lions, September 8th is their first game. And it'll be against the Rams, Stafford. We're going to try to bring some up-to-date football.
Now that the real season's getting ready to kick off?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got those cornhole boards. I told Steve, I said, if they win their first game, we'll post them out there. If they sell quick, I'll make another set. If they sell quick, I'll make 2 sets.
I haven't really kept up with the Lions really at all, like off-season stuff. But I did see there was an article the other day about, I guess they played the Pittsburgh Steelers in the last preseason game, which is like nobody good plays. Like it's all guys that are on the verge of being cut, trying to figure out who those last few guys are. So it's not like nobody important's playing. And Ford Field was so loud that they got a couple different false start. The Pittsburgh Steelers got a couple different false start penalties because they couldn't communicate. Can you imagine what Detroit will do if they actually win the Super Bowl?
It'd be awesome.
Place on
That
fire.
place, there won't be a couch left.
Yeah. Dude, I'll be bringing mine. Burn it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They don't play Kansas City at all. They played them in the preseason, their second game. But I looked at their schedule. They don't play Kansas City one time.
Really?
Never in my lifetime has the words Lions and Super Bowl been like closely affiliated. And then I was listening to 760 News Radio the other day, and they were playing clips of the general, Brad Holmes. Is he the general manager? Yeah, Brad Holmes. It's the general manager. Like, what's the expectation this year? He's like, win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Like, that's the expectation. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
They got pretty much the
Lions
same
expectation, win the Super Bowl.
They were 1/2 of a game from being there. 1/2 of a game from being in the Super Bowl. If they could have kept that momentum that they had in the first half, they would have been in the Super Bowl.
team. Yep. It'd have been fun.
So I'm sorry. Well, I mean, I guarantee you their hearts were in it. So, just
You know, it's funny.
Didn't work out.
I get the Sunday school kids to come over on Sundays in between service. And I had a basketball game that they would play. And they the whole time, were, man, if we had Madden, I'd make, you know, you can't beat me in Madden. They can't beat me in Madden. So I downloaded Madden. They stink at Madden. But, you know, it's like in the Lions game versus San Francisco, it's like the ball hit the guy's helmet, bounced off, and the other dude caught it.
Right.
Right, and they're like, man, that can't happen. But I guess like in the game that they were like Aiden was playing against Matt. He's like, brother, Fluke, the game's against me. He was like, he literally missed the catch. It bounced off his hand. His player dove for it and caught it. I was like, well, I guess it can it can happen.
Like I never touched that game before in my life, and they're always bragging about how they're so good at it and they'll beat each other. And they're like, hey, how about you go against Matthew? I'm like, well, okay, what could I lose? Then I beat him. He was like, there ain't no way. He was so.
Aiden's like, I'm like midway through the game. I'm like, Aiden, it's telling you right there which is the pass play and which is a run play. He's like, oh, okay. And like, so he literally has
I was literally just clicking random plays to do. Like
video games have never been my thing. Is the Madden? Is it more like? If you're good with the controls, like quick reflexes, and you're real familiar with the controller, is that more important to be able to control the player, or is it more important to like actually have football knowledge and strategy? Like, hey, they're in a cover three.
I guess it's better. I don't know, because Matthew can beat the tar out of me in all the games that you have to have good skill at with the controller. And I don't have any football knowledge, but somehow I managed to. There was some like reflexes because each player that is in the play that you can throw the ball to, they each have a button assigned to them. So you see that button while they're open, you have to hit it while they're still open.
So you got to be able to see the screen and know where the button is at on your controller without looking up and down the whole time.
Yeah, there's like 4 in a star almost. And those were all the main buttons. So
It looked like you had to press extra buttons when you went to throw the ball too. Like because sometimes it looked like I would see a ring pop up. Like, was there nothing to do with that?
I think that was just timing.
All the football games I ever played, like once you hit the throw button, that was it. You were done. But like it seemed like you could actually do stuff to catch better.
Yeah.
And to throw better.
I would just mash a button. I didn't know what I was doing.
And it worked.
Yeah, I beat him like 31 to 14. I was laughing at him and getting him riled up.
I watched him for a little bit, because it was entertaining to watch him play. But then I went upstairs. You would think they were watching the Super Bowl in the basement. I just hear shouting going on. I hear laughing going on. I'm like, we're still in our church clothes. Like we were going outside and throwing the football around, but like you get sweaty real fast.
Oh, yeah, it's super hot, man.
It's fun.
I'd
though.
fall, get my pants dirty, and then I have to go change. I was like, I don't want to go play outside.
Yeah. But what up? So what a topic.
Man, they asked me to do the topic tonight, so I just thought we've been going through this at our house a little bit because all of our kids are getting old enough to enjoy just some different books. Like they enjoy reading, but they listen to a lot of audiobooks too. So just some good reads for men and boys was what I had written down. Just some, if any suggestions for good books you guys have read, things like I thought of, like if we break down some categories of
50 Shades of Grey.
Personal development, and then I know we all have different tastes in fiction books. I know you guys like the sci-fi stuff, and then some more geared for like younger kids. So if we can put some out there, because I know that's a struggle today in today's generation. Like we don't do Harry Potter, that kind of stuff. So trying to find.
Where's my pen? I gotta X this one. No Sorcerer's Stone. Okay.
So how you want to go about it? You want what category you want to go through first?
Well, mine's all fiction. All fiction. So
okay,
if we got some others.
nonfiction stuff ideas, but I don't have to go.
Yeah,
first.
I have a couple nonfiction.
Yeah, nonfiction. I've always liked, like military, combat type stuff. I always enjoyed that. So lately, I've really enjoyed Jack Carr's books. Drawing a blank on the guy's name right now. His main character.
Not Reacher.
No, that's another.
That's
yeah,
Lee Child.
Reacher is Lee Child, and his books were pretty good.
They're not for kids. They're
yeah.
not for.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I guess we should put that in there. Most of these.
These are not recommendations.
Yeah, not recommended for 12 and under, I guess. But the Jack Carr, James Reese. So he's a Navy SEAL. He gets basically betrayed. His unit. They're testing experimental drugs on his unit, and nobody knows it, and it ends up giving them all tumors, and none of them know it, but they're having a bunch of problems, and the doctors are reporting it to a higher command, so they decide to send them into an ambush and kill them and give them false intelligence and try to get them all killed and wipe out the evidence. And so he survives and goes through the process of uncovering that, and he gets revenge.
What, like, is that for more of adults?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's probably not 12 and under recommended.
Yeah, that's the same way with anything Mitch Rep.
Yeah, those are good. That's the Vince Flynn, right?
Yeah, super good, super awesome books. But I mean, mature later teens to adults. Just the language.
Mm-hmm.
And the blowing up terrorists, always a good one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in the Jack Carr books. I'll be honest. Like I a couple times played something, and I don't realize you work in a secular job. You're around it all the time, especially out in a shop. You just kind of develop a filter after a while.
Right.
You don't really pay attention to the language in there. And then,
when everybody's looking at you bug-eyed.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden you turn something on. I'm listening to his story, whatever. It connects to my Bluetooth speaker in the bathroom or whatever. And I was like, yeah, the kids are like, what's that? Like, oh, yeah. Well, it just, you develop a filter for it. You don't.
Yeah.
It's probably not a good thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but
right.
It's just the way language is used these days. And
sentence enhancers.
Yes.
I'm not a huge reader anyway. Most everything I got is Audible.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it like a lot of the young adult books, like the Ranger's Apprentice.
Don't cover those. Those are our
fiction.
Those are our
later
young
on.
men's books.
Later on. Okay. Well, the only nonfiction that I got on here was that Unbroken. That story of Unbroken.
Awesome book.
And some of that is hard to believe. And me and my wife were talking when I was getting this list. I was naming off different ones, and I thought, well, if there's anything that is nonfiction, I said that Unbroken. And she's like, yeah, but you said that was unbelievable. And I said, well, yeah, the guy talks about punching sharks in the nose, like multiple times. I'm like, I don't believe all of it. I'm not saying he didn't do it.
Right. When he's the only survivor, you can tell whatever story you want.
Exactly. Cool story, though.
Cool story. Very good story.
For sure, their plane went down. For sure, they were in a life deal, and he ended up in Japan.
Right. Yeah. And he may have punched a shark in the nose. I'm just like, how in the world do you do that? Because here's the thing. He's dodging bullets at this time.
Right.
Because the enemy's flying over his raft, shooting at him. He's jumping out of the raft into the water, dodging these bullets, and then there's sharks there too, and he's having to punch the sharks in the nose. It's just hard to believe. It's just hard to believe. Not saying it didn't happen. If there's a family member that ever listens to this of his, what's his name?
Louis Zamperini.
Yeah. So I'm not doubting the guy. A lot of it seems a little fantastical.
And he could have wrote it, and some editor would be like, you know what?
He's got a little Trump in him. It was the greatest ever.
Right.
It was the best thing ever. It was.
Yeah.
The shark started shooting me. Wait.
It is cool when he's telling the story, and he's having to stand out there with that beam over his head for however long.
Yeah.
Did they tell him they were going to shoot him if he dropped it, or were they going to hurt somebody else?
I think it was they were going to hurt other prisoners of war.
Right. So he has to stand out there with this beam over his head. It's just crazy when you're listening.
It was making the madman super mad.
Yeah. And that was easier for me to believe. I could believe that. I understand the people torture. It's just you fighting a shark.
Yeah.
A little bit much, man.
Well, I mean, they teach you those courses for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they expect you, somebody eventually, to run into a shark.
I think they teach you those courses. There's a lot of those courses they teach in the military. It's more about you. They also gave the kamikazes like survival equipment. Like there's certain things they do just to make you feel better.
Do you know what that kamikaze is?
I mean, I'm assuming there's some random definition that I don't know, but the kamikazes were, in the terms I've heard, it was the fighter that they were just using their plane as a guided bomb.
Yeah, like, I don't know where that transitioned yet, because I'm reading the Flyboys. Mm-hmm. Like, kamikaze was the wind god that they believed that protected their island. Because when the mongrels came to them, ginormous hurricane storm came and like demolished so many of their ships and prevented them from taking over Japan. And their wind god is named Kamikaze.
Maybe that's why they use, I mean,
But like I've always heard it in the terms of kamikaze, like suicide bomber,
Right.
suicide. But like so far in the book, I haven't heard anyone say anything like that yet. Now it was great shame for them to ever be taken alive. Like they're supposed to fall on their swords before they'd ever been taken alive. So maybe they did yell out to their god.
I don't think I've ever heard them, like in any kind of realistic accounts, them actually say that. It wasn't like a war cry type thing. It was just what they were called, a kamikaze pilot. And that's almost always how I've heard it, was as a kamikaze pilot, when that was like they didn't have the planes anymore to fight, like dogfight, and they didn't have the planes to drop bombs, but they could send somebody with explosive on an older, slower plane that might get shot down, but it has a decent chance of at least colliding with the ship, landing on the ship, and the explosives go off.
Right, do some
Look,
damage.
It could have been like the strategy that the Japanese called it. Like if the story was that kamikaze brought down all these ships, then I could see them doing a like Project Kamikaze, basically. Like you're the ones, instead of a hurricane, you're going to be the ones taking out the ship. You are the kamikaze.
There was a game, it's called Worms Armageddon, and it was just like a group of worms trying to kill another group of worms, and like they had a ridiculous attack strategy, and like one was called Kamikaze, and like that's where you ended it. It was like you shot yourself at the other person, and that was it. And he would have the bandana on with the sun, and like as he's flying through the air, he's like Kamikaze.
Okay. So now we're delving a little bit deeper into the
lore.
That's where you got your knowledge.
Steve's historical knowledge.
Yeah, and so like suicide bombers, like
That's what they did do, but I don't.
Bring up Italian history. He's like, Mario? You drive a cart?
well, this is why they're great plumbers, because they can go down into the plumbing. But so Fly Boys, that's another nonfiction book, and so far I really like it.
Oh man, I went through a period of time where I was working in a shop. We were working pretty long hours, and I listened to audiobooks like all day. So I went through a pretty long time where I did like military books, just one after the other, like all the Navy SEAL books, Chris Kyle,
Right.
American Sniper.
That's
that
right.
was
I did
crazy.
listen to that.
I
one.
read that.
And
There's
Lone
another one,
Survivor.
Fearless. Yeah, Lone Survivor was great. Mark, what's his name? Anyways, but there was another one called Fearless about a man named Adam Brown. Really cool story. Like, basically.
Those are the kind of stuff that pump me up, man.
Oh, dude. Make you want to go run, like what did David say, run through a
Troop.
and
Jump
leap
over a wall.
Yeah, like he was. Navy pretty much saved him from drug addiction because he had somebody prevent him, and he ended up becoming a SEAL, and like he lost an eye on it was a training accident, I think, but he still like fudged his way through, and with one eye went back on deployment. On that deployment, I might have them mixed up. Like one, he got hit, his Humvee hit a landmine. They got flipped over, like severed a bunch of stuff in one arm. So his right arm, which is his dominant, and his right eye was the one that got injured. So he like complete switched to shooting left-handed and seeing everything, left eye, and still went back on deployment. Ended up getting killed in Afghanistan, but just crazy cool
Was that a
story.
true story?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dude, dude, what got me thinking about like the war stuff too is like they're talking about how bad it is like with Israel and Hamas, like how unbelievable it is that all like there's all these casualties. It's like that's because we got social media. Like there's never been a good war where like there's no civilian casualties. It's just they're just not like it.
Yeah.
Like Japan, like when we first carpet bombed them. It's like
Right.
we hit schools, we hit hospitals, we hit everything, but it just was never reported on our side.
Not only that, but we bombed with the intention of all of that. Their structure was wood.
Yeah.
We would bomb it with the intention of setting the city on fire, and it
Right.
would burn down.
What up?
I was listening to the Nate Land podcast, and they were talking about that in World War II, that Franklin Roosevelt and this other guy came up with the idea to train bats to drop bombs on the, like, because it was wooden buildings. That's what I remembered it. And they were trying to train bats. They were going to try and drop them at noon because that's when they'd roost. But they had to freeze them so they'd hibernate in the plane. And when they dropped them, they were still frozen, so they just hit the ground. They're like, scrap this idea. We're going to grab an atomic bomb.
That's funny. That'll tie into one of my fiction stories I'll talk about
Dude,
later.
but the crazy thing is, so because we did that, that made the Japanese so mad. Like, they knew that our flyboys continued on into China. And so, like, they marched through China to the nearest airfield, and they killed everyone. Like, the Japan killed everyone in their wake. Men, women, and children. They did really bad things to women all along the way. They said they killed...
Japan was doing that in China long before
Yeah,
we were ever
right,
involved.
right.
Japan's atrocities in China began long before World
Right,
War II.
right. Yeah, and that's a whole nother story, too, because they're like, how crazy is it for America to tell us to come out of China when they took Mexico? And they took, you know, but now they want us to not take anything, you know. But they say, but like that, like the Japanese killed more in that period than the atomic bombs did. Like to Japan. Like they slaughtered more people
In China.
than those bombs did.
I-
But like, so war, I'm just saying, like war, like they're saying all this horrible stuff is happening. Like it's a new concept. Like, can you believe there's war and innocent people are dying? Well, like, yeah, read any history. Like you, especially if you're a millennial and you're like me and you've only known what like our history has told you, and you've always just looked at war as like we won. Read some history. It's just bad. War's bad. When people fight, it's bad.
War's ugly. Yep.
That's like they'll call. I just saw this the other day. Like they'll call this stuff in Gaza a genocide. Like Israel's committed because they're trying to wipe out the Palestinians. But then it's like they paused all military operations the other day so that they could get smallpox vaccinations into Gaza. So it's like they temporarily halted their genocide so that they could give them all vaccines.
They just want them to live longer.
Yeah.
So
If
they
you ever
when
want
they
to hear some interesting arguments about the Israel-Palestine situation, listen to a guy named Dave Smith. He will lay out some stuff. I mean, October 7th was awful, right?
Right.
It's terrible, but war is awful, and it's been going on both sides, and there's a lot of... I was listening to, there's a podcast, a guy named Dan Carlin. He has a podcast called Hardcore History. So he has a series about Genghis Khan, talking about they don't know how many millions of people were killed in would be Western China and then Eastern Europe all the way up into Southern Russia, Poland. One of the last battles that I just finished, I believe this was in Poland, they would go around and cut an ear off of every dead enemy combatant and just to try to keep a body count. And they filled up 9, I mean, they didn't give an exact dimension, but it said there were 9 ox carts heaped full of ears. And that's one ear from each soldier.
I wonder if we get that, give them an earful. expression.
Like,
and
when
when
there were people. What was his name? Anyways, there was an Arabic Shah, I think he was called, sent out like a scouting party like into western China, like seeing, they're looking at expanding, and it said it's reported that they were coming up. They thought they saw snow-topped mountains in the distance, and it kept getting like they couldn't figure out what it was as they're getting closer. And it was mounds of human skeletons, just mounds and mounds and mounds of human skeletons. And they said it was areas they would have to detour around. Like the ground was so marshy from the blood.
Wow.
It was just, they would line up, they'd capture a city and just line everybody up and decapitate them.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Right.
Just to think the loss of life. Like that's how gnarly, war is an ugly, ugly thing.
And when we say kill, like we're even whitewashing that. Like they killed these men. It was never so simple as they just killed somebody. There was typically a lot of bad things happening between getting them and killing them.
I was thinking about this after we were talking, when I listened back to last week's episode and we were talking about the pyramids. And, we talked about the Tower of Babel and everything. And I was thinking, how bad was the world before God destroyed it with the flood? Because there was only one man in the whole entire world that God found to be righteous enough to have his grace. Only one man alive.
Yeah.
But the world was so wicked that God wanted to destroy it.
Right.
How bad was it?
Bad.
I'm just saying, everything that we're thinking of right now and that we're talking about now.
Yeah. But really, trying to remember, does it talk about the evil?
Yeah.
It talks about
wickedness of
but
man.
he was talking about eating and drinking and giving in marriage. Like they were just so
every man's
unconcerned
mind
about
was
God.
only evil continually.
That's
Yeah.
right. Only on evil continually.
Yeah.
That's right.
Dude, I do want to just say this. Cole, you said something like we turned the mics off and we were like, all right, so we don't know how crazy the civilization was, right? But there's only 8 people, right? Do you remember where I'm going with this, what you said? Like, what happened if God destroyed the whole world right now and only us survived and our wives?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
So you want to say that? Because I thought that was super good.
So we were talking about the knowledge, like retaining the knowledge from before.
Right.
And so we were talking about, were we talking about survival or was it, no, we were talking about like technology.
Yeah.
And it was, we would all, we talked, it was when we were talking about were the pyramids before or after the flood.
Right.
And so, and then obviously at some point civilization started basically from ground zero again and built back up. So like, who knows what we lost that amount of time. Well, it would be the same thing if us 5 or us 6, well, and hopefully women, because otherwise we'd die out anyway. But like us 6,
Yeah. Our wives would
Jumping
come
in
back
the water,
around.
guys. If it's just us, I'm jumping in. See ya.
but like if just we survived, it was just us and we had to rebuild. It's like, yeah, there's stuff we know, and I think probably we could get back to it would take thousands of years, but well, hopefully we would get back to the point from Brumley, Fluke, Lively, Blood. Somehow we'd end up with the world again, right? And it wouldn't be anything. But
Well, that fluke
who
blood's
knows
got some
what we
Kennedy in there, so we know we've got.
Yeah.
We've
We're
got a
survivors.
chance.
We're survivors.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
who knows what we would lose
right.
in restarting, and
Right.
there would be things we would never know how to do again.
And we could scratch on walls pictures of these iPhones.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know how they're made, right?
Right.
But they find them 1,000 years later. They'd be like, we know they knew something.
Mm-hmm.
What did they know? It's like, yeah, it's like same thing when the world started over. Who knew what they lost? We'd lose everything.
Right.
And who's to say that the pyramids didn't survive the flood and was just picked up? Like the civilization that ended up there utilized what they had.
Right. Well, like Aiden was saying, like you said, like what if those pyramids, they were the perfect ones first? God destroyed the world, and then after that, they were just trying to mimic them, and they never could.
Yeah.
And that's why we got so many bad ones. just a lot of cool concepts, you know. But I
Yeah.
did think that was good about the knowledge. Like, yeah, if you're dependent on me,
To rebuild.
I mean, we're gonna play some hacky sack.
Yeah.
Like we'll figure that out.
We
Figure
can
out how to
take
make
dents
the
out of
hackies.
metal.
Yeah.
if we
Yeah,
can find
yeah.
any.
But yeah,
Clean.
like I was thinking that when I was listening to it, you know, because Cole had made that point about our civilization now. We're more civilized. You know, we're more probably peaceful, or we're trying to work together more so now than ever before. in
Yeah,
history.
that's absolutely true.
You know, and so I was
As much war is going on, that's still true.
right. So you know, and I was thinking back about that before the flood, and I'm like, man, you know, it just. I really think it was just absolute horrible.
Yeah,
And there was only one man that was righteous in the eyes of God.
right. And not his family.
No.
Look, so
His
look,
family benefited it because of it.
right,
Yeah, but it don't say him or them. It just says him.
right.
Even Methuselah. You have to use a little bit of math. We know Methuselah lived 969 years, and you can add up basically Methuselah's age when Noah was born, how old Noah was when he got on. There's a few things you can add up, but basically it adds up to 969. So regardless, Methuselah died the year of the flood.
Methuselah's name can be translated as either man of the javelin or man of sending forth. It is likely, especially given the contents of Genesis 5 and 6, that his name referred to the reality of God's coming judgment, a global flood that would be sent forth with sudden force and destruction. The further implication is that the driving wrath would not fall until after Methuselah died. Some scholars even render the meaning of his name as his death shall bring forth. Methuselah lived 969 years. If you add up the length of time between Methuselah's birth and Noah entering to the ark, 187 plus 182 plus 600, it is also 969 years. That means in the very year Methuselah died, the flood was sent forth as a javelin on the earth.
Now that's possible.
Booyah.
Or, I mean,
Or he died.
or he died in the flood.
flood.
And
Yeah.
that's, I mean, I've heard, I think when we went to the Ark, there's like, and they talk about, we use creative license. And like, there's one set where Noah's wife is talking about, we lost your father this year. All that. And I remember thinking then, I don't know how old I was, but I was like, he probably, like, and I had added it up when I was little. I remember doing this. I don't know how old I was, but I figured out he died the year of the flood. And I just thought, I bet he died in the flood.
Have you guys been to the Ark Encounter?
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
Have you been there?
I have not.
It's super cool.
It's
I mean,
surreal.
They have a zoo there, you know, that your kids be interested in. It would almost be.
My kids have been.
Oh, have they? Mm-hmm. Okay. My kids, other than Cole, like my littler ones, you know, they were ready to go almost immediately after we got there because a lot of it is reading and looking
Yeah.
at pictures.
I would like it better now.
Yeah. But it's super cool. Super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to books.
Back to books. All right.
I thought of this while we were talking, and this is fictional, realistic, I guess. But those books that were based on David and his mighty men, the Covenant of War,
Oh, I forgot about those.
those are super good.
Wasn't there one based on Aaron too?
Joshua.
Yes.
Joshua and Caleb.
Caleb. It was Caleb.
Shadow on the Mountain
Yeah.
or something like
It was-
that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Caleb, not Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's good. And
There's a
then
book about Aaron, but it wasn't by the same guy.
Okay.
here's the thing, too, about those is like, I think there's 3 books of those Covenant of Wars or whatever, Man of War. I can't even remember what all they're called.
Late teens.
Yeah, they're graphic violence. You know, I don't think there's any like too much bad stuff though.
No.
It's all violence.
It's just the gruesomeness of it. Like he doesn't back away.
But his story of Benaiah, right? Is that his name?
Benaiah, yeah.
Benaiah. And the lion's pit and the pit with the lion.
Oh yeah.
That's super good.
Dude, when my man is running after the guy and he tells him to turn back. He's telling the story. They're running full blast, and right before the guy gets to him, the guy stops and stabs his spear into the ground, sharp side down.
Oh, yeah.
At the same time, the other guy jumps in the air, and so all that
Lands
momentum,
on it.
all that momentum is going, and he lands on the blunt end of the spear, and it drives in. But the force, it drives through him. It is crazy though. Look, and that main book that all comes from, the Bible.
Right.
Super good read. Super good read.
10 out of 10 recommend. 5-star.
Right.
Yeah. All
Now,
ages.
some like now from ages like 1 to 13, you might want to stick with Sunday school stories.
Right.
You know,
right.
you might not want them to break it down to like, because the Bible's graphic too.
Well, I think it
The war stuff and
that book gets more into like, Abner, which I've always like. You read the Bible, Abner was just the general of Israel. Like from his perspective, he was serving the king against this
upstart
rebellion. Yeah, against the and even you see the way David treated him. Like David didn't hate him. Yeah, David.
You talking about Abner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
He
remember if
wept
it said
when he
loved him.
died.
Yeah.
Yeah. Abner,
But it's
you
like I think
died
even
like a
those
fool.
books. All right, David was in the army.
Yeah.
It has some cool, obviously fictional.
Cool
but
books, but there's like, I know there was Covenant of War. All of them are of war, right? Something of war.
Day of War, Covenant of War.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're cool books. Check
Super
them out.
good,
And then
yeah.
that Shadow, what was it called? Shadows.
It's either like Shadow on the Mountain or Shadow of the Mountain. Story of Caleb.
Because it talks about him fighting that Egyptian.
Yeah. I didn't know how much of like what he was saying could be true as far as like how he, because he talks about basically like Egypt had like the Navy SEALs. Well, then when I listened to that podcast on the pyramids, and they talk about every 30 years the emperor has to do these races and shoot these boats like to prove that he's still a man, like he's still got the vigor and he can still do things. It's like, well, maybe they did have a crazy Navy SEAL fighting force, because like they'd have to run through desert, no shoes, climb the pyramid while getting shot at with blunted arrows.
I think you could look at just about any empire through history, and they're going to have their elite.
Yeah.
There's a certain elite force they'll have. Just
Isn't that how they played this story out though? Where like Caleb,
he was part of them.
Yeah.
and he was with like the Pharaoh,
But he wasn't Egyptian.
right. But he was like a friend of the Pharaoh or something that came up.
Yeah, and it's when the plague started happening and like where the doubt started coming in, and
Yeah, that's a cool book too.
Yeah, those are very cool.
yeah,
I really like. I don't know if you like crime novels. There's a author named Michael Connolly, and a lot of his are good. He's got his main 2 series for a long time were a LAPD detective named Harry Bosch, and then he had a series about a lawyer called Mickey Haller, and they're obviously from 2 very different perspectives. Like one's on the side of law enforcement, the other's he's a kind of a sleazy criminal defense guy. But they're both. I really enjoyed those books, and they can get pretty dark. Like the LAPD one, it can get pretty dark. Like the crimes that he's investigating and stuff.
Yeah.
It can get pretty dark, but it's really what I like about his books is like there's never like the hero in the white hat and the bad guy in the black hat. Like there's so many lines, like, and he really depicts well the lines a detective crosses, like, and not just like he has a certain moral code about he's not going to convict anybody that he's not going to go after somebody that he's not absolutely convinced is guilty. But if he's convinced they're guilty, he's willing to,
bend a few rules.
bend a few rules. But then he's in constant conflict with upper police authority. Like he hates the political side of it, so he's in constant conflict.
The Chris
with,
Swansons. No,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So like in one of them, he ends up like the way the book ends is he like throws his lieutenant is after him about something that went down. I can't remember exactly which event it was, and like basically pushes him. He just pushes him back, and he falls through like the plate glass window, right? And so like he's kicked out. Like he gets his badge taken. That's how the book ends.
Oh, but he didn't die.
No, it was like in the office, not like outside.
Okay, woo, that went dark real quick.
But then like the next book starts.
That'd
it's
be
like,
so random. Yeah, that'd be too random.
But then he's like lost his badge and he's like, picking up private detective work. And, there's just, it's a really interesting. He's a very good storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you're the one that told me about Stephen Hunter, the first book I read, Stephen Hunter, I Sniper.
Yeah.
Bob Lee Swagger.
Yeah.
Oh man, Bob Lee Swagger books are pretty
Bob
cool.
Lee Swagger.
Yeah, Bob Lee Swagger.
Bob Lee Swagger. Bob Lee. What kind of
he's
swagger? Bob Lee Swagger.
I think he's from Arkansas, hills of Arkansas. So he's like,
Was he super old? He was super old in that book, right?
Yeah, he's definitely one of the storylines. Like same with the Vince Flynn, where like there's only a certain, you get an action hero. There's only so many books you can write with an action hero because you can't be 70 just. Kicking tail and taking names, right? There's but
Clint Eastwood's still trying to do it, right? He's like 90.
Yes. So, yeah. But several of those books are really cool. Like, especially the ones that like flashback to. He's a Vietnam era sniper, or he was a sniper in Vietnam, and so like a lot of the like
Legendary.
Yeah. He kind of types him after a real guy named Carlos Hathcock, as far as his military service kind of stuff, and so like ones that go back and forth between like Vietnam story and then like current conflict and then the Vietnam story goes back and forth and he ties them together, but they're really cool if you like military type stuff.
Yep.
But he weaves it in with current like modern day action too. Those are really cool.
Yeah.
But as far as like kids fiction stuff, I mean, you can't beat Where the Red Fern Grows.
Oh yeah.
Summer of the Monkeys, two of the
That
best
one's
stories
hilarious.
ever. Summer of the Monkeys, classic story.
What was that one we listened to? Crappy's Bite.
Oh, Where the Crawdad? No, that's not it.
Where the crawdads
No,
from?
it's Swear to Howdy. That's it.
Yeah, I
Okay,
swear.
I've heard of that one. Yeah,
So
I've heard
funny,
it.
dude.
Yeah, Swear to Howdy. Okay.
Yeah, so
I have
funny.
to see, look that one up. One we found. I'm not sure where my wife found these, but they've been great for. They're like a Christian-based book series called the Sugar Creek Gang, and it's like all about these group of like 10, 11, 12-year-old boys. Like they're always getting into trouble, not like crazy trouble, but just silly stuff. And they've been great for. I mean, my son is 9 right now, so that kind of age range,
Yeah.
they're been really good. And then they've been good, but I didn't realize I had heard of the Boxcar Children before.
Yeah, that's on that list.
But okay, there are 1,000 Boxcar Children
There's so
stories.
many.
There's never ending box for
Yes.
children.
Have you
But
guys
my
read a lot
kids
of them?
I've not read any.
I've read a couple.
I don't think I ever read any. I read some of the old Hardy Boys when I was a kid, but I think
I've read a bunch of Hardy
the
Boys.
newer Hardy Boys stuff is like not really geared for the age range my kids are in.
They grew up.
But yeah, they
They got out of the
Hardy
50s.
Men. Yeah,
I think they have
Hardy
a
Boys
couple
are
of
good. I
different
like the Hardy
series
Boys.
though.
There
I
are-
think they do have
okay.
like a younger version of the
Okay.
Hardy Boys.
There's like a more modern one, like a lot more modern one that I read. Then they all come in trilogies, like they all come in 3-book. Those are good. Like I like those. And then there's the what?
Well, I was just going to tell a story about a Hardy Boys book, but go ahead.
Oh no, that's fine.
I did a book report on a Hardy Boys book. I got an A on it. I read the front and I read the back and a couple pages in the middle, and I made up everything else.
No,
And I got an A.
It's
It was
like
an
every
oral
book report I
It
ever
was
did
an
in
oral book
elementary school.
report, and I got an A on it. Teacher said, "You must really love that story."
No way.
I promise
Was
you.
you feeling guilty? Or was you like,
No, not at that time. I wasn't. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about."
like Hardy Boys, we're like this?
We go way back.
Dude, hey, I will say like a classic book that I absolutely love, but it is dark. Treasure Island.
Treasure Island, yes, sir. That's a
Dude,
good
that
book.
the Audible version of it is amazing.
Audible originals. I think
I didn't realize how like the dark places or like the dark spots that they are. You know, I always thought it was like a kid story, you know. But we listened to it, and my kids are like, some of them were like, "Dad, I still have nightmares about the one-legged man." You know, one leg, Jim, one leg. Keep an eye out for the one-legged man. You know, it is.
the cool thing about that story is that's where we get our idea of pirates is from that story. Like the the peg leg,
the black spot. Isn't that the story you're talking
Yeah.
about? The black spot.
Mhm.
The opened the paper.
Yeah.
There's a black spot,
Yeah.
so he knew he was gonna get killed.
Pew, not pew.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like he was saying, a lot of the stereotypes came from that book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
the parrot and the peg leg.
Did you guys, in that same kind of vein, did you guys ever read Swiss Family Robinson or Robinson Crusoe?
Yeah, I read Robinson Crusoe. I haven't read
Yeah,
Crusoe.
those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I it's been a long time since I read them. It seemed like I was in school, like middle school maybe. We had to read them and do book reports on them.
Another couple books like those is those Louis L'Amour's, like I forget.
Sackett Lands.
Yeah, the Sackett Land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
Louis L'Amour's are. I mean, there's a bunch of them, and they're pretty good. There is some cursing in them.
Yeah. Super entertaining. Super good.
How old were you in 2012?
7.
So that's when we started listening to The Ranger's Apprentice. And he was 7. And to this day, those stories are probably my favorite. I liked them, he liked them, and his mom liked them. You know, this was before there was anybody else. Lydia wasn't around.
Who writes these books?
John Flanagan. Read to you by John Keating. There's 2 versions. Get the John Keating audio books. But there's total of, there's probably like 20 different books now. And then they have an offshoot. But it's based on a young person that's training up and to be a ranger. The scope of it is like in medieval times, like there's kingdoms and there's fiefdoms, there's barons and, you know, lords and knights and all that kind of stuff. Well, the Rangers was like the elite special forces type people, you know, but they were so
Mysticized.
yeah, that people thought of them. They were afraid of these men, you know, because they would just appear out of nowhere. They thought that they disappeared, but it was like they had the first forms of camouflage. Their weapons was the longbow. And this kid always wanted to be a knight because he thought his dad died fighting as a knight. He was left at an orphanage with a letter that said his dad died a hero. So in his mind, his dad was a knight. So that's what he wanted to be. But he ended up being a scrawny boy. But he had the ability to climb, use the shadows to move as a kid because he would sneak around, sneak out. You know, they're super entertaining. And his mentor, Halt, is like a gruff, middle-aged man. It talks about working hard, and it talks about, you know, whatever skill you want to be, you got to practice. You know, you're going to have to
Nothing
discipline
comes
yourself.
easy.
Yeah, nothing's given to you. You have to fight, work for everything that you get, learn lessons, treat people right.
The young people admire their mentors.
Right. And they're entertaining.
I think it's awesome. I don't know if I'm the first one that started reading those or if I heard it from somebody else that had already read them. But it's awesome to see like all right, I liked him. I really enjoyed him. All of my kids have gone through them. And now it's like my kids are excited because Jonathan has read some of them. And now they're like, now my kids who are like Sophie's 15 or whatever, 14 or 15, she's like excited that Jonathan's talking about this book that I've read, that she's read, now that he's reading it. So like it bridges I hate to say this, it bridges a long period, you know, long gap.
The main character is an apprentice through the first 4 books. And then number 5 comes out and he's like a full-blown ranger on a mission. And so 5 and 6 are together. So then he wrote 7 because he said that a ton of people said, well, when did it become official that he actually was a ranger? Because he kind of like skipped over that. So 7 is actually
it's a big
a prequel.
no-no, John Flanagan. Big no-no.
Right. So 7 is actually a prequel to 5. But those first 4 and then book 7, fantastic.
7 might be the best, actually.
Yeah,
7
is
amazing.
the best. It's awesome.
I really like 4 too, though. I really like the
Battle for Scandia.
Yeah, that
I'm listening to that one now.
between that and 7 are probably my favorite. Book 1 is kind of my favorite too because of the nostalgia of that's where it all started.
Yeah.
You know,
But
so
that's where it all is for me because book 1 isn't really my favorite. But I get what you're saying.
right. It's just that's where I started, and it's like
book 1's a little bit slow getting going because they're building the story. You know, but less than maybe a couple hours into it is when it really kicks off. You know, the first couple hours is building the story and everything. And, you know, like when I do listen to it over, I can kind of skip through the first couple hours because I already.
I can't ever do that.
No, I can.
In those, they do have two like beasts. They have the Kalkara and the Wargals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other than that, there's like nothing else. Like
Like,
Oh,
are you
Landos.
talking about like magical?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why when you guys told me about those, it's been quite a while ago. I listened to the first two. Like I had a hard time getting in the first two because it's like
He completely
kinda
ditched that.
mystical creatures kind of thing, and
Yeah.
like that guy Mulgareth or whatever, like mind controls them, and they're like that was just kind of weird. I never have been into the sci-fi stuff. Like just
Yeah.
never got into that. But after that, I don't know. I haven't listened to all of them for sure.
Well, 3 picks up. All that's over by 3 because when they kill that guy.
Isn't that 2?
Right.
Number
Well,
2 they
yeah.
kill.
2 he dies at the end. They kill Mulgareth.
Don't say how. Don't.
Right. Yeah. That's super. Did you hear? You heard that part, right? Or no? Did you listen
Yeah,
to all
I've
of number
listened
2?
to at least the first 10. It's been a long time.
Okay.
So, but I didn't go back because then he start another series like the Royal Ranger or something that goes back to Holt's.
No, that's the
beginning.
early years. He did the early years.
Okay.
Royal
So the-
Rangers is way later.
Yeah, 16 years after.
that's like Will and his apprentice.
Okay.
So they do have the early years, which is how the Rangers got
Okay.
founded, and then Halt, how he got
Okay.
involved in it. And I wish Cole and I talked about this. I wish they would do another one that explains another character how he got started.
Yeah. Because
Gillen,
then you would have 3 books and a good trilogy as the
but
early
they never
years.
did it.
But after like the first 12 and
First 11.
first 11,
Yeah, because then
12
book
is like a
12,
short
he actually
stories.
kind of went back and was like, actually, that's book 1 of a new series.
oh,
And
There's
then they
been
have
like
the
6
brother
of them.
band ones, right?
Yeah.
Like the Viking based ones.
And those are all right.
Yeah, they're harder to get into for me, but I still like them.
I like those quite a bit, I think. I couldn't. They're not the same. Like, I know the first 3 are together. And I think 4 and 5 are together, but past that, it's kind of harder for
And
me.
the spinoff that he did where the Ranger's apprentice Will is actually now the Ranger, and he has an apprentice, that Royal Ranger, which the apprentice is a girl.
Feminist.
So
Went
yeah,
woke.
but
I will say, I first heard somebody say that recently, and like I never even thought of it as going.
they did make her
I'm
young.
just teasing.
Yeah, I
don't-
know.
don't-
But once
seemed
they
like
said it, I was
might have
like, yeah,
listened
that
to
makes.
one of them.
He probably was. That is probably why he was doing it.
yeah,
But
but
at
they
least-
had. There's 2 stories on there though that the Red Fox clan and
Yes.
where they're saving the castle. Like those 2 are really good. Like I can't say that everyone in that after or in that newer series
Well,
is
here,
good.
I'll break it down. There's the first one is fine. Like it's the 12th book of the old series, first book of the new series. I liked it quite a bit. They make out Will to be this great guy, and he gets like taken hostage by just like a 2-bit bandit.
Yeah,
That's kind of dumb. But then the next 2 books are good because it's like rebellion. There's like a whole thing where the bad guys take over the castle, like the main castle. And so like you're with some of the characters outside trying to break back in. Then the other characters are in like one tower of the castle that's been like it's prepared for whenever it was created, just in case something like this happened. And there's all kinds of tricks and stuff.
And it has a spin with the brother band characters are in it also. They help out with it.
Yeah. And then the next 2 books are dumb. Like they're so boring. They're the boring. It's like a baron kidnapped some prince or something like that. And it's super boring. And then the next book, which came out last year, he went back to like I assume it's just going to be like there were so many of his,
Garbage.
yeah, like magic stuff. It was so weird
Garbage.
because none of it has been like that since, and even books 1 and 2 were not
Do you not
bad
listen
at
to the
all.
last
It started out with a pretty good
Yeah, it
scene
was cool. Some farmers farming
and some,
giant
like
wolves.
Yeah.
that was really cool, but it just ended so dumb.
I just
Like to where it's like a 5-year-old could have been like, that's stupid.
yeah.
It really was.
The guy's in his 80s. You know, maybe he's losing his touch.
Like the majority of his audience must like end up going more into the magic stuff, and like he got a ton of asking him to do like one book about it. or
Yeah,
something.
he's got another one. There's another one
We'll see
coming
how
out
that.
this year.
Yeah, but definitely like that's way up there on my recommended. And then Brandon Sanderson, also very amazing. More more mid-teen, more a little bit more mature. But
Yeah.
that is a lot of
on some
sci-fi
on
stuff.
some of them. He does have the Alcatraz
yeah.
series.
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk about that.
Alcatraz versus the evil librarians. It's hilarious. It's really dumb, but it's still cool for kids.
He was being goofy when he wrote that series. He'll get stuff that'll make you think.
Yeah.
He'll do it purposefully, like huge action climax, and then you end the chapter on this massive cliffhanger, and he'll start the next chapter with like 2 pages, and he's just talking about something, but it'll end up tying in eventually. It totally breaks the action, but like it's cool stuff that's actually in this smart stuff.
It's like he wrote this whole series just to mess with you. Yeah. He's trying to prove that authors are horrible people, and that the main character throughout the whole series is trying to prove that he's a bad person.
And
So
don't he
does
go
it.
by the alias Brandon Sanderson?
Yeah. So the whole story is that evil librarians rule the whole world. We don't know it.
There's 3 more continents that we don't know about sitting in the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they control all the information and stuff.
And what
It's
age? What
hilarious.
age is that fine for?
9 to
Jonathan?
12. I
Yeah.
mean, there is the end of book 5 is dark actually, because
It's
I don't
sad.
want to say
I guess
why.
I gotta listen to those. I have never
There's no
listened to
reason
any
not
of
to.
them.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
So that series. He's got a Steelheart series, which is more superpowers. Really good to listen to. I would say 13.
I was probably younger than that. Huh?
Here's
You would think younger than that.
here's the cool
I
thing.
I wouldn't necessarily. I don't know.
Here's one of the things that I like about Brandon Sanderson. I mean, he does get into like the sci-fi. You know, everything's fantastical. You know, it's not real life stuff that could happen. He's a Mormon. Brandon Sanderson's a Mormon. So
We don't hold that against him.
no, not at all. The thing is like, generally speaking, most of his don't have swearing in it.
Right.
They
You know-
make up their
Right. They'll make up slang like sparks, you know, because they're
Which is
Rust.
always cool. Like he
Rust and
puts
ruin.
he
Yeah.
puts so much into his world creation,
yeah.
like that they have their own slang.
Yeah.
I like that because I'm not trying to be a goody two shoes at all, but like when I start listening to a story, once it starts like dropping all kinds of crazy swear words, I'm done with it. I don't want to hear it either. You know, so the one thing I do like about his is like most of everything that you can play, if your kid overhears it, they're not hearing things that I'm worried about them repeating. They're just not going to understand everything that they're hearing.
Right.
And
His Mistborn series is awesome, but that's probably more mid to late teens.
his Wax and Wayne is probably like the best.
it's hilarious.
Yeah, but that's like late teens too.
Yeah, but it's still...
It is amazing.
those
Like they're
guys
just
are
so funny.
hilarious, man. And it's Western setting, like it's set in the Western, but
But with these powers that he's been.
in this world, and it's not magic. It's just in this world, people are born with the ability to where they consume certain metals, and it gives them power.
Superpower, yeah.
Yeah, like you can't fly, but you can bounce yourself off of metal.
Like push.
You
Yeah.
can push or pull. It's like you're a human magnet.
So he's like now that it's Western time, there's actually some kind of like street poles with like lanterns. So like he can't fly, but he can pull himself up and then push off of them where he can like zoom over the city while he's pushing off of the light posts.
And they have guns, so they can shoot and then push the bullet, and then it's like extra penetration.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool.
Like there's some like
It-
without a doubt, those are probably my favorite books.
Yeah.
Like the Wax and Wayne series in
Yeah,
particular.
those four. Yep. Super
There's
good.
some epic stuff. Like he shoots his own bullet out of the air and nails it into this dude's head.
Like there's
Because
There's time manipulation and stuff in there too. It's like,
his friend can throw up speed bubbles to where time slows down outside and time speeds up inside the little bubble.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
It's-
so like
it's
so
pretty
like
cool.
like there gets a situation where it's like dire, and he's like Wayne, and like all of a sudden everything freezes around him, and Wayne throws up a bubble, and like he needs to do something amazing, and he does. like it's always a known fact. Like you can't, like I don't know how much to say.
you can't. It's the end of book 1. You can't talk about
Yeah,
it.
but it's amazing, dude. It's just It's amazing. I can't say enough about it, dude. It ain't the Bible, but it's amazing. Like
awesome.
I have probably listened to that first book because we've had to wait for the next ones to come out 5 times, maybe.
Right.
To where like I could probably quote along with the book.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so good because he makes the one guy so funny, like
Wayne, he's the comedian, and the other guy's like the sophisticated one.
yeah.
But it's just hilarious. They're a team and super funny and action. I mean, it's like nonstop.
right.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily need to listen to the first 3 Mistborn, which are awesome. I love those too. But like that's where he breaks down the powers, and you might understand more about it. And then there's Easter eggs because like that next series like 300 years later.
Because it's the same world, but it starts in the medieval era, and with all those powers, then it moves to the Western. The next one's going to be like
Right.
the mobsters and stuff.
So like the city names and like certain things that they say, they're referenced from names from the first series. You know, it's not a big deal, but it is kind of cool. You know what it's from. You know, but he breaks down the power good enough in that Wax and Wayne series, so you get an understanding of what they're doing.
I just think it's so cool that he made this entire world. Like he has there's so many random facts that he just made up to put together. I think that's
I
pretty
know.
sweet.
It's like I know more about the world of Scadro than I do
know.
about
I'm
America.
like, bro.
It's like, of course those plants won't grow there. There's no metal.
That's like my books. I do, when it comes to nonfiction, at least, like I do kind of want to learn more about the world. So like 9/11 was a big thing. I wasn't around for that, so I didn't. And it was like this summer, maybe I read some books about 9/11 and just kind of how things went down and like the different firefighters' perspective, the perspective of the president, maybe people in the building, whatever. So more historical things like that. I remember there was a book I read about this, just about the Situation Room in the White House. I read that in May, and it was like break it down by president. And the guy was liberal, so and you could tell that he was like, he talks about all these crises, and then they get to the Trump years, and he was like, but this time the crisis was the president himself or something like that. But it was well researched, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting, things like that. And then I am one of the people, I honestly do this, and you may think it, but like if somebody kind of important politically comes out with a book, like a memoir or something like that, I will read it. And I won't read it word for word, but I'll at least skim through it.
I don't think that's goofy. I just think you're super into politics.
Yeah. So like, I know.
I mean, like some of them aren't necessarily all politics. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but Rand Paul's book was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So things like I'll say even Pelosi has a book. I know. I'll skim it, but it just came out, and I have that. What is it? Not pre-ordered, but like on hold for the library. So when it comes, I'll look at
Her
that.
book's been out. The Wicked Witch of the West.
No.
You can read that.
Wizard of Oz.
You throw water on her, she'll melt.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
Yeah.
Right. She's done some. Obviously, right.
I mean,
she's done some amazing
she's probably
things.
the most powerful speaker ever, because like she can make her, like we saw Kevin McCarthy completely lost control. Like her people,
She can
did what
remove
she
a
told them to do.
president from the White House.
Exactly. Yeah. Her book is called The Art of Power.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Instead of The Power of
Well,
Art.
That's a flex
Art.
right there.
That, I mean,
Yeah, dude, no doubt.
You get the sitting president kicked
Yeah.
out.
yeah.
Not kicked out yet, but not run again.
Mm-hmm.
The art of power.
Well, not to throw it back into politics, but he's on his second vacation in a row.
Yeah.
He's on permanent vacation.
Yeah. Permanent. Yeah.
And
There's one I forgot to mention this earlier, but as far as kids fiction, did any of you guys read Hank the Cowdog?
Oh,
I
yeah.
got that
Oh,
on my
yeah,
list.
Hank the
dude.
Cowdogs were
you
classic.
can't go wrong with
We
that
still
either.
listen to them when they come
Still
out.
come
Hank
out
the
a few
Cowdogs.
times.
Dude,
a
Grover will still make me like bust out laughing.
year. Oh, my leg.
Yeah, oh my leg.
Yeah, they're good 2.5 hours, good entertainment.
Yeah.
They're short book. I didn't realize they're kind of short books. But
And he usually has like 2 songs that he made up.
Yeah. Then
they start sounding the same
There's
after a little
did you
while.
guys ever read Hatchet?
I seen it.
That was cool. It was about a kid who, the pilot, he was on his way to visit his dad in the gold fields and like oil fields? Maybe it was oil fields. Anyways, visited his dad working up in like northern Canada somewhere, and it's like a 2-seater plane, little Cub, and the pilot has a heart attack, so the plane goes down. And he's got to survive. That was pretty cool.
I gotta read that because
That's the one when I was talking about eating grubs.
yeah.
Our survival
Very cool.
episode.
There was
I think
another one I remember reading in school. It's just like I vividly remember like middle school, maybe high school age, reading this book, and I still remember it's called Blue Jacket, about a kid. It's like colonial times. I can't remember the exact years, but like when the American frontier was like Virginia. And so he got captured in a raid, like an Indian raid, and they raised him to be an Indian, and he ends up becoming a chief, like a war chief, and like fighting against his own blood-borne people, whatever. That was a really good book.
Was
And
that
that's
based
true.
off-
That's true.
Huh.
Yeah. It's called
I had to
Blue
look
Jacket.
into that.
Really good story. Like a good read for young men. You know, it's a good story. Trying to remember, there was another one kind of in the same theme of Hatchet called, I think it was To the Far North or something like that. Same premise, but it was two boys have to try to survive. I always liked those survival books. They always had an appeal to me.
You guys read a whole series of like, didn't they come out with the Survivor series, like the Chicago Fire and
I survived.
Oh, yeah, I survived. Those are fun.
Yeah.
I like those. It like
They're
takes
kids.
one event in history, then it's based on the facts about that disaster, but it's a made up person.
Yeah.
I
They
think
have tons of them, right? Like,
yeah,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
tons.
Don't they even
Like the
have
first
one
one was
on
the
9/11?
Titanic.
Don't they?
Yeah, I read that one. I read
Yeah.
the 9/11 one.
Like, and then
And
all
those
the way-
are they like they're small, right?
Yeah, they're pretty
not
small.
long. Yep.
They have a I survived the Holocaust too. I think.
Yeah,
Probably.
think they got a ton of them.
It gets down to like, there's like a Kansas tornado even. That
That was
must have
another
been
classic.
famous.
Anne Frank.
There's a story that. Go ahead.
if you another good kid like history is the Rivals series.
That's a podcast, right?
It's a audio book.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Audio original.
Yeah.
Original.
If you have Audible, I think it's
Original.
free the Audible originals. But it talks about there's two that talk about famous rivalries through history. And then there's one about pirates. Then there's one about Vikings. I feel like there's another one, but I forgot what it was about. But they're all really good, and they make it funny.
The duels one, right? Famous duels.
I think that was
that's
Two
Rivalries.
presidents, right?
Oh, okay.
That's
I
one.
didn't
Or
know. Bella told me to mention too the Rush Revere books.
by Rush Limbaugh. Yeah.
I know I've been in the car while we've listened to him. I've listened to him. I used to listen to his show all the time.
Yeah.
So to hear his voice reading, I kind of
you
threw
didn't
me
like it?
off.
It's
Yeah,
more
I didn't.
nostalgic now listening to it. You know,
Yeah, it probably would be. It might now. I might like it better now
Right.
just because he's
Yeah.
passed.
rush into the future.
Yeah,
Rushing to history.
Rush into history. That's
yeah,
right.
super good books about just learning
American history.
American history
Yeah. The last one was called The
from
Presidents.
somebody who loves the country,
Yeah.
Yeah.
who doesn't think we're the worst thing since.
John
Sounds
Grisham has a youth book out too, a series called Theodore Boone,
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
where
yeah.
he's a
Those were
kid lawyer.
I mean, by the time I was reading John Grisham books, I wasn't at a point where I had kids I was thinking about. So I didn't really, I think I started maybe one of them,
Yeah,
but I did go through a
he's.
John Grisham.
I think there's like 5 or 6 of them. They're pretty good.
Okay.
What about those Alex Rider books?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Strider's
I didn't
really
even think
cool.
about those. Those are really good.
Those are on my list.
Yeah.
Or that, like Bella had mentioned those too. Did you look into that at all?
Seems like I saw it advertised like on Amazon. Like did they make a movie or a TV series about it or something?
I don't know, but I
I've
know I
seen
read
the name
them.
Alex Rider. I know, yeah, it had because on Amazon they'll promote like whatever's on Prime Video or whatever. I remember seeing ads for
Yeah, I know. I read several of them, and Sophie's told me she's got the whole collection.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I read them all.
It's like, I guess.
So it's a
like,
pretty good book series then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about this kid who his uncle. They're in England, and his uncle dies, and I forgot why they needed him.
Well, it's just basically
Oh,
his uncle has been training him his whole life to be a spy. He never knew his uncle was a spy. His uncle dies, and then the MI6, I think it's called, basically
MI5
takes him on. I think it's like the real one is called MI5, and they may have made up MI6. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's MI6.
I think MI6 is what it's really called, or 16. The British.
It was MI6, but
Yeah, I think it's MI6.
okay, yeah,
Okay.
I know that's what they used in the.
But those are fantastical stories too, just in a real
It's
way.
like James Bond, I guess.
who's the
It's like they
author
have
of that?
gadgets.
What?
Who's the
Horowitz.
author of that?
Anthony Horowitz.
Anthony Horowitz.
What's that Owen Colfer's book? That's a kid spy.
Airman.
Right, that's a good book too.
Oh,
That's-
Airman is an awesome story. You should listen to that.
It's a young adult story too.
That one is good.
epic.
That's just good. Yeah.
That's kind of got like the Alcatraz, and what's the other one? The Count of Monte Cristo type
Feel
deal.
to it. They're out on an island.
They're on an island. The guy figures a way to escape.
But it's just cool.
Which,
'Cause it's
Count of
like-
Monte Cristo. That's like
a little
the original.
kingdom, basically. Yeah.
The same guy that narrates that story is the guy that narrates the Ranger's Apprentice. That Michael
What was the
Keaton.
other one you were thinking?
Which there is like
Not
a
Michael
swear word
Keaton,
on that,
John
and like
Keating.
when you hear him like with the swear word, you're like,
Yeah.
Right.
don't let that filth come
Ewan
out of your mouth,
Colfer,
Will.
The guy that wrote that one, he has a series out too that I thought dealt with the
Oh,
spies.
I think he does a scary.
Artemis Fowl.
Oh, I never read those.
Oh no, that's not a spy.
Those are a horror one, or like a scary ones, aren't they?
No, it's like fairies are real.
They're not.
He's not a spy.
No,
He's a scary
He's a
fun.
rich-
A bunch of them in San Francisco.
he's a rich kid.
Who's
He's a
Michael
criminal.
Vey?
His family's
Michael Vey, yes.
Michael
I like
Vey's
Michael
are
Vey.
good books if you like superpowers, because that's what
They're not even superpowers. They're just born
genetic
different.
mutations.
Yeah. I mean, and the cool thing about that, Richard Paul Evans, like he writes like Christmas stories and love stories, and then he writes this. I mean, it turns into like a world domination story, like in the end. But I mean, like the way his villain in the first 7, because now he's coming out with like a trilogy after. I think, and I wasn't old enough to realize, like whenever I think of a villain, like I think of that he's like a 30, maybe 40s, super rich, like. He's in charge of the company basically, and like he has these kids, and I'm not going to go into it, but basically, and they explain it well when explaining how they got these powers, but they all have these powers to do with electricity, and like he's been gathering these kids. It was his fault basically that it all went wrong, and he's been tracking down these kids. He created like a school. He can get them to do. He's like a father to them basically. These like a dozen kids with these crazy powers.
It's like
X-Men.
X-Men.
Yeah, except they're bad in this one.
Professor.
Oh, but they're
Xavier.
bad.
Yeah.
Well, and there
And
are
then
good
there's-
ones too.
There's bad mutants. They call them mutants in X-Men.
Yeah. But he's just a cool, and like he doesn't care. He's like sociopath basically. Like he does
Yeah,
crazy
he-
things.
And then at the end, he's like going completely bonkers. Like he has this guy in a monkey cage.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Crazy.
It was like.
Like yeah. By the end, he goes way off the deep end, like thinking he's.
So there
Almost like
are
the Messiah,
tons
I
of
think.
good books out there
Yeah.
for young people and adults.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, man.